Hello everyone, I am Tacit and I'm going to be going over the Gems of War event objectives for the Into the Woods event in which the Woodseekers add to the game. So this week, most noteworthy thing, it's actually a pretty tame week for the fact, other than the fact, that we have a new PvP season. So, of course, with this we have 2 new immortals coming in, as well one featured one that you have to get through the drop table, as well as a mythic and a legendary. The mythic never be worth going for because it costs gold marks, and the legend being somewhat okay to go for because there's nothing else to really use the silver marks for. So we'll be going over all of that, and yeah, that's pretty much the only really big thing other than like standard event stuff. We got a faction troop, new faction troop coming in on Friday with that, but nothing really too much there. Doesn't really change the pure faction team, and yeah, other than that, pretty standard week. Not to mention it's a world event, so pretty much the same team that you would use for the world event is the same one that you would use for Underspire, with the only exception really being that you don't have, you know, all the metal buffs, all the potion buffs, stuff like that. But anyways, let's start getting into it. Let's go over to PvP. So with the new PvP system, we have 2 new immortals. Let's go over those first. That is not where that is. So, of course, we do have a new season pass as well. It lasts for 11 weeks. So, for the next 11 weeks, you'll be able to go and obtain any of these rewards, the free side or paid side. I still feel like this pass costs way too much for what it is, but you still get a good handful of rewards from the free side. And, of course, a bunch of objectives you could do throughout the season as well, which are highly advised to go complete. You end up getting a lot of free burning marks as well as copies of the new troop, which you can end up getting directly to go and upgrade them. And it's actually not that bad, the immortal this time around. Not the best one we've ever had, but far from the worst. Oddly enough, he is from Groshnok, and Groshnok is pretty notorious for having pretty bad mythics. So much so that I think this is actually the strongest mythic in the kingdom, which is kind of sad because he's pretty average as far as an immortal. Pretty much right in the middle of where you'd expect an immortal to be. He deals a bunch of true damage to 4 random enemies, boosted by enraged allies and enemies, and if it is used in broken lands, he'll deal double damage. He has, of course, the invulnerable as all of them has, a little bit extra attack, and most importantly, creates an enraged gem whenever his turn begins to be able to go get a little bit of extra, I believe it's red, onto the board. So he does get guaranteed gem spawns. That's nice. Actually be able to go and get alignment off it. You might be able to get a 4 times, might be able to get a 3 match, might be able to get a little bit more enraged for his boost ratio. Overall, it's not bad. Not the greatest, but I'll definitely get the job done. And him being upgraded with all the extra benefits will make him a little bit more decent. Any of them that have like the high amount of targets tend to be pretty decent. Like I know Immortal Glacia, which is the only one I've bothered upgrading so far. It's kind of nice because it can pretty conveniently go and kill out an entire enemy team. 4 hits can kind of do that, but of course if they have barrier, any amount of resummon, he will have to cast twice instead of once, which is a bit of a downside as far as his overall ability, but still pretty nice. As far as the dragon, I would definitely say this is the stronger one, though, of course, they've been doing this a lot. Last season wasn't as good. They had this Immortal Gemini, which somehow I still have not gotten a copy of, by the way. But the season before that, I think, was like Immortal Fernax, and gosh, this thing is so unique compared to how a lot of the other ones are, as far as its full trait setup and everything. And they keep putting the slightly more unique ones behind the you need to go get it from pure RNG wall. So this one's actually not bad. There aren't too many full true damage dragons, which is actually kind of surprising given that dragons pretty much all do damage to all enemies. But this is pretty solid for an immortal. It deals true damage to all enemies, and if used in Southfile, it has double damage. But the main thing that's relevant, if that was all of its ability, it wouldn't really be that good. But it converts 6 yellow gems to green dragon gems. If you get even just a pair of these to match, even if it's only a 3, not even an extra turn, you'll get a lot of explodes on the board, especially if it's towards the top of the board. And of course, if you get an extra turn from this, it's going to be a lot of value because not only are you exploding like pretty much half the board, but you're also getting all of the green gems, which of course feeds back into himself, while also denying a color you don't even need. So overall, not too bad. I could also see this having some decent synergy with Beatrix. So this is actually pretty easy to go obtain, I say, as I'm probably going to throw some burning marks and not get a single one like Gemini last season. However, I would generally consider any Immortal troop, especially with how few there currently are in the game compared to, like, you know, years from now when there's going to be like almost 100 or whatever by then. But there's a few enough in the game right now that I feel like every single Immortal is basically an early game troop. And now all you really have to do is go through like 1 PvP season, maybe 2 PvP seasons at most, and you basically have every immortal in the game. So having a basic version of this is very easy to do in early game, and one thing that's really solid with him is Beatrix. Beatrix plus Immortal Drakon, actually a pretty solid early game team to go through if you don't have like double Tesla yet or something similar. Really, really great option, pretty accessible. Within a single PvP season, you'd hopefully be able to go and get lucky enough, and of course, you could do that this PvP season. So, yeah, overall, not too bad. Really good Beatrix synergy. Of course, you could also just go double Beatrix, but it has a little bit of extra with the vulnerability if you get him that high and everything. So not bad. There's a little bit of a green gem convert as well. It does actually create as well, so he's not converting a green into it. He's actually just outright creating it, so you can get alignment. The only problem with it is it's not guaranteed, but yeah, at least it's a little bit of a stronger gem, so if you do get any amount of matches with it, it'll give you a lot of extra mana accumulation, and of course works pretty well with his convert that he has. But anyways, overall, not too bad. Both Immortals, decently usable, unlike Immortal Gemini last season. With that being said, let's go see if we can go get it. Of course, there are 2 drop tables for it, normal burning chests and epic burning chests. Generally, you should pretty much never be throwing epic burning chests, unless the every single one in this weekly thing is like all ones that you want really badly. It is generally worth only ever opening burning in the standard ones. So let's see if we get anything here. Hopefully we can get all the ones that we are currently missing, as we're currently only missing 2, since one of them is pretty easy to get, the one featured Immortal from this season. Let's see, we got 50 of one. Honestly, anytime you get a 50 drop, 50 of the previous season, very solid. It's the best drop you can get. Speaking of which, there's the new dragon. Nice, nice. So we already got him within, what, 3 pulls? 4 pulls, whatever that was? It's not too bad. Another 50. Wow, that's like our 3rd 50 pull. We're doing really lucky on that. What's the percent on that? Nice. Ossifer, probably honestly the strongest immortal in the game as far as overall value. Gold marks, not bad. Silver marks, completely pointless. Let's see. 10. A little unfortunate. We still don't have Gemini yet, by the way. How is this possible? I've gotten a new Immortal for this season before I got the previous season Immortal. Oh, we also got to use the silver icon in there. I didn't notice that. But honestly, not that bad. A couple 50 pulls. Got the Immortal Draken. So we should have everything except the one from last season somehow. How do we get that unlucky? Really? Yeah, we have everything except last season's one. It's something I wish they would kind of change a little bit. Every single one that comes in as the side one is so much more annoying to get, and they're normally the better ones too. Like last season, this was Immortal Gemini. This season, it's the Immortal Draken. I believe the season before that was Immortal Phoenix. I can't remember any further back than that, but there were others. I think the Scorpion was one once. But just look at how much less upgraded they end up getting. It's just so much more annoying to end up getting them because there's not a way to target them like the current featured one. There's, of course, something like this guy. You're going to have a lot of by the end of the season. We don't currently. But by the end, you know, even just with the free battles, you're going to get it to like level 8, level 9. Like, I believe this was one of them. We got it to 8. This was the one from last season. We got to 9. Technically to 10 right now because we just got the upgrade material literally from the chest opening we just did. But, you know, not accounting all the free ones, we got end up getting it to 9. So, I don't know. It just seems kind of weird that these other side ones, like, it doesn't make sense why they had 2. It just always made more sense if they only added 1 Immortal every time. Not sure why they go for 2 each time. Also, I'm going to open the last 2 since we have them right here. Oh, almost got Glacia Max. We're getting actually pretty close. The only Immortal we ever... It was the only season we ever bought the thing. Because if you go and buy it, I believe it's enough to get the Immortal to like 25-ish, give or take a little bit. So, it's not so expensive though, like 15 bucks. So I would generally consider it not worth it, but... It does give you a lot of burning marks in the 1 Immortal pretty high. Just they haven't really been releasing too many Immortals that are like over the top. Like if this was the dragon here, I would almost consider it. Like if this was the other way around, where this was the secondary Immortal and the other dragon was like the main one, it'd be like, oh, maybe it's worth it then. Same as that if they did that for Immortal and Phoenix. If Immortal and Phoenix was the main one for that one season, and then, you know, whatever the other one was like the side one. But they keep doing it the other way around for some reason, and I'm not sure why. Where they keep putting the one that's more average as the one that you get as your main reward, but the one that's actually good, there's like no way to target. Not with money, not with resources, not with literally anything. It's really weird. But anyways, other things in PvP to mention, if we go over to the PvP shop, there are 2 new troops here to go and mention. Also keep in mind, since all points have been reset, if you do want to go and buy your deed books, or whatever you want to do with your gold marks, ideally deed books, you do need to go re-earn your 20,000 PvP points. So if you want to do all that this week, might be worth considering if you want to start opening them again to go get kingdom upgrade stuff. But not too big a deal. You can also just wait until a couple weeks when you go and get it naturally from doing the weekly and get it that way as well. But anyways, we got 2 new troops. The one that is never worth going for being the gold mark one and the silver mark one. As far as the gold mark one here, it deals a bunch of damage to 3 random enemies, boosted by enraged gems, skulls, and it conjures a Doomstorm. Nice to see another way to end up doing a Doomstorm. Overall, his ability doesn't really complement it like at all though. It's really strange. Like the fact he does a Doomstorm is nice, especially for Urskia, because I'm not sure if Urskia actually had a way to do Doomstorm prior to this. However, actually that's not true. Isn't that where Encaradura and Enraged Encaradura is? Wait, but they didn't have Doomstorm though. They just have Doomskull Convert. So yeah, this might, actually, yeah, it might be the only way to do Doomskull into place. But the problem is he doesn't really have an ability that complements it at all. Or the extra turn potential at all to go with it. It's just really weird. If he had some kind of like Doomskull Convert, like you get rid of all this damage and have, you know, any amount of skulls within Rage could have been a bit better, but it doesn't really do much. The other thing that's really annoying about this thing is he just converts 2 red gems into an Enraged gem, which converts red into red, which means he gains absolutely no value. Even the Immortal from this current season gets more value than this, because at least it creates a Enraged gem every single turn, rather than this, which only replaces 2 of the red gems with 2 red gems. So yeah, they become enraged gems, but you're not getting any alignment value from doing it. But overall, pretty bad. The other one, a little bit more usable and definitely more accessible since it's silver marks, aka basically free. You do need to go get 150k PvP points throughout the season if you do want to go and get it early though. But as far as this troop, it's okay. It's not amazing, but it reminds me a lot of Ubistet, but single target in a way. It deals a bunch of damage to an enemy boosted by their attack specifically at a 1.5 times boost ratio, which is actually not that bad. I wish it was like 2 times or something a little bit better than that, but 1.5 times not bad. The biggest issue with this is base attack value relative to durability these days is so high disparity. But, you know, if they're using an attack buff or something and you want to go have a way to go and kill them out a little bit harder rather than having to use some kind of other ability like charm or something similar, it's okay. It's nothing really over the top, though. And given that we have things like, what is it, Finesse? No, not Finesse. What's it? Finessa, which ends up dealing 1-to-1 based on its attack. I don't know, just not that much damage. But it's still okay. And if the enemy dies, it ends up gaining half its mana back. Now, here's the part where they really could have done something a little bit better. If this was like half mana back and extra turn, then this could have actually been a little bit better. Of course, they kind of did this like to kind of mirror Ubistet a little bit. In that Ubistet, of course, has an ability when it ends up getting a kill and is, you know, Rashka related and everything. But in this, oh no, the other one gets a whole free kill. This only gets half its mana back and no extra turn. Honestly, not that great a value. I can see him being used with a Urskia team or with a pure Rashka team, or not Urskia team, I mean a Pridelands team or a Rashka team, being able to be used with Ubistet, being able to be used with a pure Rashka, Pridelands kind of stuff. But beyond those weeks, you're pretty much never bringing it out. It's one of those trips where you're going to bring it out like once, twice a year for an event week and then bench it for the rest of time. But at least it gets used. Unlike something like this, where if it's an Urskia week or an Urska week, you're probably not touching this guy, even if you did own him. Whereas this, you know, you're bringing him out for a week, like twice a year, and then never forget about him for the rest of the time. So he's very nichely usable. But if you do get 150,000, yeah, you can pretty much pick them up for free, as silver marks currently have nothing to dump into, and the best thing to dump into is just getting the one copy of the legend every single time it rotates around. Anyways, that's everything with the new PvP season. But yeah, that lasts for the next 11 weeks. You got plenty of time to go finish it. All right, other things we have going on. Where should we start? Let's go over, let's go over the World Event real quick, and then we'll go over all the teams. And I'll mess with everything else. So first things first, World Event, pretty straightforward. We do have both spell damage and skull damage, and there are a few skull teams that you can end up getting away with. There's quite a bit of skull spam from the kingdom. So you can end up utilizing that, though more often than not, you're probably just going to be spell spamming. As far as the rooms to go take, the main thing you need to know is just don't take Ancient Horror. If we go over here, we can see the little scoring over here. It's right over here. And it seems like it just keeps doing the same battles over and over again, which basically means just don't take Ancient Horror. So, yeah, as long as you're not taking Ancient Horror, you should be good to go. Just keep taking everything that isn't Ancient Horror, rinse and repeat until you have completed out the event. The restriction is specifically for Mergrim Woods, which means whatever teams you run for this event, you can also run for Underspire this week. As, of course, Underspire is the exact same restriction. The only difference is you do not get all the extra spell and skull damage, and you also do not get all the potion effects. But otherwise, the exact same restriction is applicable, so whatever team, you can literally just copy-paste and be good to go. With that being said, we do have 3 teams to go show, but keep in mind this is for the World Event and for Underspire this week, even though this is World Event here. It is for both of them, because there's no point in really showing both as they are the exact same teams. So, World Event, higher rarity team. Basically, go put Lunar Dragon on your team, the purple Lunar Dragon, and go build your entire team around it. Doesn't matter what you put in, just make sure every single thing on your team is helping your Lunar Dragon cast more. This will be one-shotting in earlier fights. Later on, you can double-shot, and that's pretty much the whole premise. Get this to full mana, cast it, get it to full mana again, cast it, win. And that's pretty much the entire game plan for the entirety of Underspire, and for the World Event, of course, is just get your Lunar Dragon full mana, cast it, and you're good to go. As far as a skull-oriented team, a couple different ways to run this. There are a couple different Doom Skull-related weapons. In this case, we're using Doom Glaive. Keep in mind, all these weapons are available in Soulforge this week, except for one. One of them is technically in Soulforge, but is a Cosmic Dragon piece, if I'm not mistaken. So if we go over to McGrimwood's weapon, this one right here, there is another skull one, but it's not in Soulforge. If you want to use it like skull-related, you're going to have to go like Doomed Glaive for the most part. But there is Lunar Tide. The problem with Lunar Tide is it's from having 3 of the Cosmic Dragons. So you could technically go for this whenever, but it's, yeah, just converts all purple to Doom Skull. If you're running something like Forest Guard, you don't even need to worry about it because it transforms all purple to skulls, which conflicts with this. So you're only ever running one or the other. So for the most part, yeah, Doomed Glaive is a better overall option. It's more accessible this week because you just get it from Soulforge. Whereas something like this, if you don't already have the Dragonite, if you don't already have this laying around, you're probably not going to be able to get it this week, even though it is always available every week. But trying to target farm it this week is probably not doable, especially since there's no Vault Event weekend. We have a new faction and troop instead. So yeah, if you're looking for a skull-oriented weapon, Doomed Glaive from Soulforge is going to be your main option, most likely, as far as running it down. Beyond that, we're using Direwolf because not only does it have 2x2 Entangled, it also has Hunter's Mark to go use. We're doing that with heroes, so we can also place even more Hunter's Mark, so we can get even more damage. And then we're just using 2 Skull Spammers. Forest Guardian, which gives all of our beasts 50% mana start, which of course is our entire team in this situation, is not only 4 times Grim Woods, but is also 4 times Beast. And now we're using Hatter and Scroll because it converts all green to Lycanthropy, but more importantly, all yellow to Doomskull. It also has backup summon if things starting to go south pretty quickly. And yeah, that's pretty much the game plan there. And for the low rarity team, we're basically just building all around Direwolf. I am using Doomed, whatever you want to call that. What is that word? But we are using the Doomed Polearm, green Polearm, for this team. You can either do this with a pure green team, literally plopping whatever you have laying around that is green, or we're just using a little bit of a convert here to get a little bit more mana. We are sacrificing 2 spawn every single time, but it gets the team rolling a little bit quicker. Direwolf's just a really easy common to go get, really strong all around. Has skull dodge, has really high skull damage. We're using this to infinite loop. You can, of course, opt to have more of a team that supports it directly. And then Spirit Fox, we just have for a little bit of poke damage, has a little bit of mana drain. All very accessible stuff that you can get, with the hardest thing to get probably being the weapon, but is available in Soulforge, so you can scrap it to get together all the resources this week to go and obtain it. Beyond that, as far as the factions, we have 2 of them this week. A brown-red restriction for Hellgates tomorrow, as well as a yellow-purple Umbral Nexus for this weekend. So, which will be bringing in a new troop as well. So basically 4 out of the 7 days this week we have a faction-related event. And this is for the one specifically tomorrow of Hellgate Brown-Red. And of course you're allowed to use any color hero weapon. For the lower rarity team, we're basically just using a Guard's Avatar quick kill team. Just going all in, feeding a mana, and using Harpy Mage as our basically turn 2 Empower. As a 75% mana start, and with the enchant bonus, you will by turn 2 have full mana on it automatically, using it as like a turn 2 Leprechaun. And of course, since we have access to red, you can literally just build around Tesla. Even just a single Tesla, double Tesla is enough to go through the entirety of the faction. You can use it for the low level range, you can use it for the high level range. You just have to use a little bit of a weird mana accumulator for it, but it'll work out fine. As far as the pure faction team, we actually have a new option coming in. We have Polymetis. So this was one we technically mentioned, but weren't ever able to show in a team, since this is the first Tuesday event since it has been available since a weekend event when they end up coming in. So of course a lot of times, including this weekend, the new troop that ends up coming in for the pure faction is not good at all. Like for example, this weekend we're getting one that just does not synergize with what we need, since you just run 4 of the Void Wisp or whatever it's called, and it doesn't really fit that well into it because it doesn't have stealthy. So the new faction troop that we're getting this weekend does not end up helping the team. However, this new one that we end up getting from the last Hellgate event does actually become the new first slot here. So it ends up gaining a bunch of attack and armor, and of course anything that ever gains attack plus a durability in Underspire is, or Underworld I mean, is basically an auto win. All you have to do is just cast this a bunch of times, get it nice and bulky. They generally have a nice amount of score reduction, so they don't really die unless they get casted out or really heavily skull spammed early on. And you basically just bulk this thing up and just keep casting it over and over again and get it really bulky. And it just basically 1-shots, 2-shots everything on the opposing team by that point. And it's pretty much the whole game plan here. We're using that to go and bulk up, and he can solo the entire battle if he has to. We're using this for mana accumulation, and then we're using Judge of the Dead just for a little bit of chip damage, which used to be the main strategy, just using this into just spamming Judge of the Dead until you win, even using sometimes 3 Judge of the Dead. But now you have a really solid tank that can basically carry the entire team on its own, so really huge buff for this faction overall, and definitely highly advise using it. It's a biggest buff we've had for, honestly, probably any faction in a while. Though, of course, this did end up coming up like months ago, but this is the first Tuesday event that's applicable for. As far as the Warden class event, oh, I actually forgot. Did I bother setting them to War Gear? I think they have to be Beasts. Oh, no! I did a mistake here. Okay, let me go fix this. Wait. Good thing I caught that. I normally try to catch it beforehand, but of course, the restriction for class events are specifically whatever the 2 typings are. So, of course, obviously, whatever the kingdom is, which I always remember. However, there is a second one. It's also whatever its typing is. And this is a weird kingdom where it is basically where War Gears initially existed. However, it is a beast kingdom. So, let me hard pivot into... Oh, no, what do we have for mana here? Do you do anything good? Green? Not really. Green? Not really. Brown? Black Manacle time! Really? Okay, maybe we just go, I don't know, what else do we have? Empower. Come on, show me something not useless. Here, just put some Spirit Foxes on it. Just poke whatever revives. Like, if there's that one guy that revives, you just double poke him with Spirit Fox. He'll die to that. You'll be fine. Just cast your weapon until you win. It's such a straightforward event always. But, yeah, we'll just run it like this. That's fine. But yeah, if it has that one resummon thing, we'll just double true damage poke it, and, you know, we're good to go. Just spam whatever your best weapon is. Use your Empower to go feed it mana. You know, it's the same as always. Class events. It really just comes down to what you want to run to go get your free 25 gems real quick if you even want to go run it. But it's like, what, 5-10 minutes for 25 gems. But anyways, as far as the weekend faction event, this is the only other event that we have going on. This is a yellow-purple restriction for Umbral Nexus. With that being said, we're using pretty much just a standard Atlanta quick kill team. We have access to Leprechaun, we have access to Thrall, so any teams based around one or both of them, pretty much good to go. In this case, we're using quick kill Atlanta with Black Manacle to hold down the line. And for the higher rarity team, we're just running a Iron Gut Catharix, and just running that Catharix for the curse so that you can end up devouring everything and just devouring everything. And otherwise, you just insta-kill whatever else is on the team. Using Thrall for mana accumulation, Leprechaun as well. You can also replace out Thrall for Hero if you want to go gain Class XP and just use Wand of Stars or whatever other option you want there and just use something a little bit tankier. This might also be advised a little bit later in the game if you plan on going deep. Whereas Thrall later in the game is going to be fine to kind of survive, but earlier on, not so much. You can also kind of switch it up a little bit if you want to have High King Iron Gut to go get his Devour value so you can do even more pressure, though it does put him in a little bit more of a liability of potentially dying out, but does end up damage pressuring and allowing you to win a little bit quicker, though it does put him at a little bit more of a risk of death before he gets rolling. And of course, as we were mentioning earlier, the faction team is a nice diverse team of 4 Void Wisp. It's one of those situations where we have a lifesteal one where it's just worth spamming. The main reason why you don't run anything other than Void Wisp is he's the only thing in the faction, including the new faction troop, which does not have it, that has stealthy. This is relevant because if you put even a single thing on this team that is not stealthy, every single enemy is going to be forced to have to target whatever you just put onto the team, which is very bad because whatever that is going to die. So it is actually better to just go for Void Wisp so that the enemy will distribute its damage rather than targeting all into whatever doesn't have stealthy on your team. The other benefit of this is you get to create 4 purple every single turn, as this final ability does stack. So you just set a double purple banner, go and hope that they end up landing it, or have some amount of extra turn that you can land from that. Go get all your purple mana, keep life draining them, keep throwing mana drain at whatever's the biggest threat on the opposing team, and rinse and repeat until you've won all the battle. It's definitely not the quickest as far as pure faction teams, but it'll definitely get it done, and is a relatively safe team. As you have mana drain to get rid of whatever the biggest threat is, you end up gaining magic scaling over time, and you keep getting a bunch of life over time to make sure you don't die. Unfortunately, no score reduction. Probably the biggest downside is that it doesn't get like a big score reduction, but at least it gets a little bit extra magic, which of course is even more lifesteal. And of course it gets up a bunch of mana accumulation from itself. Even though it itself does not mana accumulate, it basically gets 4 purple every single turn. So it is still a mana accumulation troop, it's just not as good as, you know, actual metal ones. But, you know, it still gets used. So, other things. Drop table. So, it is actually worth mentioning the drop table. So there was an update of 8.5. I don't think I've mentioned it a single time this video, but it was a pretty small update, 8.5 update. Actually, I don't even think I have the patch notes here, do I? But yeah, we went over this on Monday night stream from last week. There really isn't too much to really mention from it. We have Prisoner Luther, which is the thing I'm about to go mention right now. He's in drop table now. He was actually just added as of today, so literally the first day you can go get him. Newer players could have gotten him last week, but yeah, he's a new thing in the tutorial. They end up switching up the tutorial a little bit. They fix some of the microtransaction stuff. They end up doing a few general fixes. But the biggest thing were mostly some of the bug fixes where they end up fixing Guild Wars so that we could actually have a Guild War last week, and a few things related to that. So overall, it was a pretty small patch, a little mini patch. But nice to see a bunch of updates. I believe 2 new achievements got added too. They were bugged earlier. I'm not sure. I haven't actually tested to see if they've been fixed. I assume by now they would have been fixed. But as of initially, they were both bugged. The Enchant Gem one and whatever the other one was. I think the other one was like complete a bunch of journey tasks or campaign tasks, I think it was. Like do all the campaign tasks for a given week or something. But yeah, they were both bugged. I'm pretty sure they aren't anymore, but let's hope so. Otherwise, they'll need even more bug fixes next patch. But yeah, it was a pretty small mini patch. Nothing really too much happening going on, which is why I didn't really get its own video, as other than fixing Guild War for last week. That is basically all it ultimately ended up doing. But of course, with that being said, we do have the new Luther troop that we are just talking about. So this guy is now in drop table as of today, the Prisoner Luther. He is pretty dead content. I believe you get him within the first few minutes that you play the game now in the new state of the game. However, obviously all veteran players or anyone who hasn't started in the last week, you do not currently own him until today. He just explodes 2 to 4 gems, obviously meant for ultra early game. Not the greatest, far from the worst thing you could ever put on a team though, but it's not really going to be anything you're going to be running later in the game, obviously. It's more so just be like a tutorial trip to go get early on. Oh yeah, I did remember. I was gonna say I wanted to go open glory keys when we end up doing this. Want to go get a little bit more gems. Want to start working on that 100,000 gem grind. So let's see if we can go get them here. Oh no, I got a mythic. That's not what I wanted. What am I supposed to do with that? So this troop apparently rarer than a mythic, but there he is. But yeah, he's in drop table now. So if you want to go pick him up just for the sake of having him, or to go upgrade your Broken Spire a little bit further, yes, he is available as of today, as of a few hours ago. So if you're wondering where he is now in drop table in the Glory Gem Guild and VIP Chest drop table. And basically everything but gold keys and shiny keys are the only two he's not in. Oh, and event keys, of course, which is the current Mergrim's Wood event week, which actually, since we're bringing it up, might as well go over now. So overall, is it worth opening event keys this week? No, with one exception, I would say. Probably if you want to go and get the 50% mana start to all beasts. It is somewhat relevant this week, depending on what teams you want to use. Actually, did we go over all the teams yet? What do I feel like I haven't? Wait. No, we have. Now I'm going crazy. Yeah, we definitely have. Why am I going crazy as if we haven't? Never mind. Yeah, we definitely have. Because I end up changing the warden class team because I end up setting it up wrong. But yeah, we definitely went over them. Anyways. So, Mergrim Woods. That's early in the morning. Anyways. So as far as Mergrim Woods is concerned, everything that is not in drop table includes... Oh gosh, I wish this thing was. This is actually for the most recent thingy too. But anyways, everything that is not in drop table includes the following. All 5 of the Hellgate faction troop. This is only from throwing Chaos Shards at Hellgate to end up getting all of those. Other than that, the other things that are not in drop table include the Terror card of the Moon. This is only from the Volkey drop table. The Scroll Reborn. This is only from a crafting process in Soulforge. What is that actually do you need for? I actually don't remember. But yeah, this is a Soulforge only one. As far as crafting this thing out. These two are both... Oh, wait. Or is it the other way around? I always forget with these things. Wait. Now I'm confused. No. Yeah, these two are crafted. The 2 boss ones are crafted. This one is in drop table. I always get confused with this. But anyways. So the ones that are not in drop table are the 2 boss troop ones, which are only crafted in Soulforge. The thing that we just had from last season, this is eventually going to be available for 4,000 diamonds in Soulforge, but currently is not in the event queue drop table. I'm not sure if it's ever coming to drop table, but you will be able to diamond for it in the future. And the other one that is not in drop table is, of course, the Purple Lunar Dragon, which you're going to get from the Cosmic Dragon egg drop table, the ones that are 550 each. So all 4 of these not in drop table, which means the only things that you could get from drop table that are mythics are Hatter and Scroll, Winter, Midnight Winter, Lincoln, and Wolf Garrick. Overall, you can live without any of the 3. They aren't really going to do much for you. The main thing that you're looking for if you're opening any amount of event keys, and pretty much the only thing worth getting if you don't already own it, is the Forest Guardian. Very niche as far as when you bring it out, but does have a pretty good use case, a 50% mana start to all beasts. It also has a pretty decent ability for a 50% starter, which is a double convert. It's actually kind of funny because they actually nerfed Divinish Bala and never brought her back to 50%, and it actually has a pretty similar ability like this, aka a double convert skull. So yeah, overall pretty strong. A lot of decent beast teams end up utilizing it, and obviously on a week like this, that is Mergrim Woods, where there are a lot of beasts, pretty good utility troop. So if you're going to open any amount of event keys this week, I would advise getting Forest Guardian. Otherwise, it's pretty skippable unless you're just looking to get Kingdom Stars. And a lot of the better stuff from this kingdom are obtained through Soulforge through other means, so not really worth opening keys, as they're not in drop table, so no point in trying to get them through that drop table. So long story short, get Forest Guardian and then stop opening event keys. And if you already have it, probably worth skipping unless you're looking to get a certain Kingdom Star from Mergrim Woods. Anyways, other thing, Soulforge. I haven't actually mentioned Soulforge yet. So Possessed King's the only thing that was worthwhile as far as mythics here. Has a little bit of explosion. Overall, never been a huge big fan of him, but he does have the most amount of transforms of anything in the entire game, while also having a decent final trait. There's so many other ways to mana accumulate these days, but it's not bad. Explodes 2 random gems every single time he ends up taking an extra turn. It's a nice utility trip to have, but you could definitely live without it with how many more mana accumulation methods there are these days. His biggest use case, I would say, is probably with a Doom Skull or Uber Doom Skull team, because if you end up doing that, he ends up exploding some skulls, and that can do a chain reaction that basically clears the entire board of all the Doom Skulls and or Uber Doom Skulls. So really good in skull spam related teams that have those kind of mechanics, as he can basically set into motion an entire full board clear off the explosion and just gain a bunch of mana accumulation. So in higher tier skull spam teams, he tends to get used occasionally, but other than that, he doesn't see too much of a use case beyond that. As far as weapons are concerned, there are a decent handful of really good weapons. I would say if you're going to go for any, you probably want to go for Doomed Glaive or Doomed, whatever that thing is. I have no clue how to pronounce this thing. The Doomed that. But the green Doom Polearm, probably highest priority as far as future-proofing, as this thing is really good during any journey event where you're allowed to use green, as well as pretty much as any time where you're restricted to be a pure green team under any circumstance. It is basically like the journey troops pre-nerf, but for green allies instead of some kind of typing, where it gets a decent amount of boost ratio for your entire team being green, but also gets boost ratio from the enemy team being green. So really good in those kind of situations. I believe it has, yeah, Entangle first enemy, so you end up getting Entangle 2. Not too bad. Overall, really great weapon. Next second best is Doomed Glaive. This thing, really good skull spam weapon. Ends up converting all brown into Doom Skull. Is actually particularly noteworthy early on in the game if you want to go and end up going with this because of Truffle and Beatrix. Particularly Truffle, but both of them. Because they both create green and brown, and this has really, really good synergy with this weapon, because, of course, the weapon itself needs green to go and function, and then you can convert all the browns into Doom Skull. So it's a really good finisher option when doing a Truffle team, as you can go and keep spamming Truffle, do it over and over and over again, infinite loop of that. Maybe if you do it with Forest Guardian, you get even more mana. And then once you want to go and finish out the battle, or just have alignment on it, you can then convert all your browns into Doom Skull, clear the entire board, and then repeat the cycle. So really, really great weapon to make some pretty accessible early mid-game teams. All you have to do is get this weapon. So honestly, if you chose one or the other in early game, I'd actually say Doomed Glaive, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Because Truffle is basically free, and you can build a really solid team just by putting them both together. And you're just good to go at that point. But yeah, they have really, really good synergy together, since the Truffle creates every single color you need to make this function, both for its mana accumulation and for its convert, while having auto extra turn, and then you just wait until you have the alignment and just get a billion Doom Skulls and go do a bunch of damage. Plus they both hit all enemies simultaneously, and even gives Green Storm, so you have even more of a chance to extra turn with Truffle. So yeah, overall, really great. And if you were to get any one weapon or anything from Soulforge, I would say Doomed Glaive's actually probably highest priority, with the Doomed other thing being second highest priority. And there's still a few other utilities too. I think we showed it with some of the weapons or some of the things. I think you use like Wolf Hammer. There's a couple other interesting ones like the armor tier ones. Not really that decent these days though. So yeah, I would say Doomed Glaive's highest priority, and the other Doomed one of the Doomed this thing being the second highest priority. Alright, so other things. Of course, we still have the campaign and everything. Never mind, that's still a award event. We still have the campaign going on. Still several weeks to go and finish that out. But there's a new achievement for going and completing these all out. So if that's actually functioning now, you should be able to finally go get that achievement this week, since I believe it was not working at all last week. A lot of people would have claimed all their tasks before the patch as well. So this is basically the first week that you can go and complete that consistently. And beyond that, other event weeks we have, or other things that we have going on throughout this week, we have Hellgate Brown Red Restriction this Tuesday. This Wednesday, we have ourselves one of the pets from our Grim Woods. I believe it's actually one of the old cosmetic pets, too. Thursday, we have the class event for Warden Hero class. Overall, pretty niche hero class that doesn't really get used much. The most noteworthy thing about it is there's a decent amount of armor gain while having Dispel. With his biggest use case actually being Green Storm into Dispel. We were actually just talking about it earlier, but one of the best teams that you could actually build around this, which everything is available for it this week, except for Forest Guardian, is Forest Guardian Double Truffle Doom Glaive. The Double Truffle you could always target from Amethyrax. Obviously, the Warden Hero class is available this week, which is the class that you use with it, and the Doomed Glaive is in Soulforge. And the main reason why this is relevant is as Dispel, so it gets rid of Submerge, and it has Green Storm, which is very vital for that kind of team. Of course, you do get it off of Doomed Glaive after your first cast, but you don't get to start with it, and this allows you to start with it. So it's one of the few very niche situations where you can bring it out. But yeah, Forest Guardian, Double Truffle, Doomed Glaive, really solid team for Underspire, or even just in general. And yeah, it's one of the few situations where Warden is not completely useless. But outside that context, yeah, it doesn't get used that much. And this Friday, we have a faction event for Umbral Nexus, which is a yellow-purple restriction. Beyond all that, what have we not gone over? I feel like it's almost everything now, other than the Glory Troop. Honestly, I need to start doing this in a set order. Ever since I started doing them in inverse order, I always lose track of where on earth we are with everything. But anyways, shop, resources, pet, wherever it is, Woodseer. So we got this new guy. Overall, pretty bad, unfortunately. He ends up dealing some damage to an enemy boosted by green gems at a ratio that is basically irrelevant. And if the enemy is a daemon, it deals double damage and entangles them. Overall, yeah, nothing really good here. No extra turn potential. Not enough damage to one-shot. So niche that you're basically never going to use it. Not quite sure why it exists. Has Green Link at least, but there's better things in the kingdom that have Green Link. They even have 50% mana start like the other thing in the kingdom. Overall, I don't see a single situation where you're ever going to bring this out for any reason whatsoever. even with him having 20% stats this week, which actually shows how little he does. That's him with 20% stats. Gosh, that is bad. But yeah, he's just one of those things you get just to have for completionist sake, upgrade the kingdom, all that kind of stuff. But beyond that, yeah, he's pretty underwhelming. But anyways, guys, if you still have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful holiday if you have off for America today. And I will catch all of you guys later. Goodbye, everyone. And thanks for watching. And of course, all the teams are in the description below if you want to go and copy and paste them. Have a wonderful week. Goodbye, everyone.